There we go. So welcome to our very first ever webinar for the Retired Members Club for New York Life. We're glad you're here. Thanks for being here. I know this enters into everybody's schedule, so thanks for taking the time to join us today. We're really excited about the whole opportunity that we have this year, and I want to share a little bit about that. But before we do, let's just walk down memory lane for just a moment here. Remember, we were in Arizona not too long ago, and this was the performer who was with us the first night we were there, the champion, several-time champion hoop dancer from Arizona. He and his family, his father was a champion, his sons are hoop dancers, and they're doing a wonderful thing out there. It just was a wonderful walk down memory lane. If you enjoyed that, down at the bottom, there is an option that says, what does it say? It says react. So click on react and give me a thumbs up if that was a good thing, if you enjoyed that, if that was worthwhile. Outstanding. Thank you, guys. How many of you were actually in Arizona with us? Do a hands up if you were in Arizona with us. Do a quick hands up and let everybody know that you were there and saw all this wonderful stuff, because it was a lot of fun. We had a good time. As you can see here, we had all sorts of fun things going on. Jules was there with his daughter-in-law, Katie Walsh, who has done a wonderful thing on Netflix. She's a producer, an Emmy Award-winning producer, and has a couple of great shows about ice dancing on Netflix that you can go see. So give Katie a look. But it was a blast. We had a number of new members. We had a great time and a great opportunity to just remember and to think about our founder, Al Ivanelli, and bring him up into the meeting, even though certainly he couldn't be with us. But we were so glad to be able to memorialize, if you will, Al and his great work to put this whole thing together. Frankly, we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Al. So we wanted to make sure we recognized him. But it was a great time. Jeff Hatchman spoke, Bruce spoke. We had a local doctor in to talk about wellness who got great reviews. I was really impressed with what you guys thought of her. So that worked out very well as well. So thanks for coming to Arizona. We had a great time. In fact, my family's even looking at going back for spring training. We got some folks that are big time into baseball. So we're even thinking about going back to the Wigwam and be there for that as well. So thanks for being here. Let's talk about the future of the Retired Members Club. But before we do that, Reed's going to just kick me if I don't remind everybody to please pay your dues. If you haven't had a chance to send your $50 check to Bruce, please do so, because we need to know that you're with us and you're going to be here with us for the coming months. Reunion in September is coming up, and registration for that, Reed, is going out in the next month or so, so we'll be getting that out to you as well, and you can register for the reunion in New Orleans. We're looking forward to that. Let's talk about the future of the Retired Members Club for a moment. You know, it's kind of been interesting to watch the way it's gone, but right now our membership numbers are trending down. If you look over the last 5 or 6 years, during the COVID years, things were up. We did some things to try and help, and we were able to get membership up. In fact, it got up, I think, to almost 130 members, then went down to like less than 99. Currently, we're at about 103. So we need help. We've got to do something about membership. It's moving in the wrong direction, and certainly going up to 107 is positive, but that's not going to be enough to sustain the club for the future. We need to improve our membership. So what we've done is a number of different things, but only 26 members actually attended the reunion in Arizona. 26 out of 100. Golly, we need to really work on making sure we do everything we can to encourage folks to join us in New Orleans for the reunion coming up there in September. So what do we do about membership? The home office, we've been working with the home office for what, Eric, 6 years, 8 years, something like that, trying to get more help from them. And they've done some wonderful things for us. Frankly, the most wonderful thing is they fund the operation and give us some cash to be able to do the things that we do. And truly has been a wonderful gift from New York Life. So we're pleased with that for sure. However, at this point, and going through all the different places we've gone through, we've had all our senior executives have talked to the home office to try and get help, and the home office is at a point now where they simply are not able to do anything for us as it pertains to contacting retired members. So that's kind of where it is. We can hope for help from New York, but hope is not a strategy, right? So we need to do something about it. And as it always has been said, if it is to be, it's up to you and me. And that's kind of where we are today. It's up to us, y'all. We've got to do this from the grassroots level, and we've got to grow membership. So we created the RMC 2026 Membership Rally, and that's coming up here this year. Ralph Ward has agreed to lead the charge for us and get things going. We've invited some folks to be department leaders to go back out to folks they know in their department, Lynn and Joe Campisi, and we're reaching out to several others as well. And we're going to be asking for leaders in geographic areas. So if you'd like to kind of lead the charge in your section of the country, we would love to have your help there and let you reach out to not only retired members, but to reach out to other members of the club to get them involved in this operation as well. I'll be talking with the zone seniors here pretty soon to invite the zone offices, because we know that most everything happens at the ground level, and we can hopefully get information from the zones about who is retiring and then go out and contact them. So that's sort of the way we're going there. But more than that, you and I have got to get involved. You and I have got to actually start reaching out and doing some things. Here's some ideas for you. First of all, you might want to contact some folks that you know are currently employees with the company. They know who's retiring and who has retired, and you can find out from them. Well, G. Morris, I don't know anybody that's still working at New York Life. It's been 10 years, 15 years, 20 years since I was there. I don't know anybody. Yeah, but maybe you know some of the job positions that are still there, and you can find out who's in that position simply by making a couple of phone calls. And you can go to them then and talk about the Retired Members Club and the benefits of being with us and getting together once a year to renew friendships and to have a good time, which we generally always do. No doubt about that. And you can ask for contact information. Now, if everybody would please mute yourself, that would be helpful. And let's see, contact information. You know, G. Morris, nobody knows how to get in touch with them. They're retired, so their New York Life email doesn't work anymore. Great. They're probably on LinkedIn. They're probably on Facebook. And you can direct message them on LinkedIn and Facebook and try and contact them that way. So there are all sorts of different ways to do it, but we got to do it. You and me. And we're not going to get help anywhere else. It's going to be up to us if we want to see this club continue. And that's really where it all comes down to. And here comes Jeff Hatchman. So Jeff's now with us. We got to reach out and start doing some things. We have to take action. As we all know from our years with New York Life, it's not going to happen unless you do something. You got to take some action. You've got to actually do something. So that's my call to action for each and every one of us today, is to start reaching out and start doing some things. We've got some folks that are going to lead the charge for us and lead the different areas, and that's going to be very helpful. Please step up and do your part. We need you. We need you. If you want to see this club continue, we've got to be a much greater presence out there in the world of New York Life and inviting our retirees to come join us and be a part of what we're doing here today. So with that in mind, let's move right on into the best part of our conversation this afternoon. And let me introduce Dr. Tracy Tremendous Jones. Tracy is a veteran graduate of the Air Force Academy, spent 12 years serving our country, and we're very proud of that. Thank you, Tracy. And we are also very pleased to have her here because she is a wonderful speaker, does a great job speaking in all sorts of different areas for all sorts of different groups, but she's also an author. She's written at least 8 books now. I don't know, maybe more by this point, Tracy, but she's written at least 8 books. I know I've read several, and read several of her father's books as well. I'm not going to try and introduce Tracy with a big long bio. I'm going to let her tell you about her dad and about her work today. And I'm going to hush and let her go. So, Tracy, thanks for being here.
Morris, thanks so much. Everybody, absolute delight to be here. When Morris first reached out to me, I was absolutely delighted on several different fronts. First of all, when he talked about the group and what the intention was of getting you together, one of my New Year's resolutions, and I'm still on point in doing it, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, was to be much more intentional about staying connected with the people in my life. And that could be people I was with as a young lieutenant, new friends, old friends, my husband's friend, just being very intentional about it. Because as you know, the older you get, it is so easy to just kind of get constricted into your own gilded cage and not have to leave the premises and really invest in friendships. So that was the first thing when Morris was telling me about the group and what you did, and I was like, oh man, that sounds like a lot of fun. And number two, I am the product of my father, who grew up in your tremendous industry. And I'll never forget, Charles found Gloria, my mom, in Lancaster. He found God, and then he found Mutual New York. He found the life insurance industry. And for a young man that dropped out of school at eighth grade and came from really difficult circumstances, he just adored it. And he was very passionate about it. You guys, if you haven't read Life is Tremendous, that came out in 68. And that's when he was transitioning out of Mutual New York more into selling. But it is all about how he grew his business as a young life insurance salesman. And you, of all people, get it. The insurance field has been an integral part of my continued success. I came back 17 years ago after he immigrated to heaven and have had the joy of continuing to stay connected with a lot of great people like you. At least half the people I connect with knew Charles and loved him, and then by default loved me. And it's just always great to hear about the industry because he just loved it so much. And I can remember he would tell my little sister Pam, Pam, Sunday I'll be gone and I'll leave. I'm gonna have to leave you, but I'll never leave you without. And many of you know he came up with his own eternal life insurance policy because it wasn't just about life insurance in this world, but the next. So again, he was just absolutely very, very positive about it. If you get on our website on Tremendous Leadership or on YouTube, Tremendous Life Books, I have archived so much of his stuff. You may even recognize him from those days or a speech you heard it from. How many of you guys have heard him or know of him or read Life is Tremendous? I know a couple of you. All right. I'm sending you a virtual hug. He was a big hugger, known for that, and just always very exuberant. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I have a couple slides, and I'm going to share my screen right here. All right. Everybody, can you see the slides?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Okay, so today, all things tremendous, we're going to talk about the tremendous power of staying connected because your policy on friendship shouldn't lapse just because you're retired. And I think you guys know, like I said, at this stage of life where you're done with fortune, you're done with family, everything's good. And now what? Am I going to play golf every day? Am I going to, snorkel in Belize every day? What am I going to do? And, a big part of this is really staying connected. And just like everything else in life, the compound interest of friendship is the thing that in these golden years of your life are going to be the ones that provide the most value. So, a little bit about what's going on in the world because it's a different place than where we came up with. All right. First and foremost, and I love that you guys are all connected. That means that you get it. And I love that before we started, some of you were looking at oh, you're here. Oh, it's great to have you here. So you already know the power of connection. You're retired, but you are taking time out of your day of retirement to actually be a part of this team that still has work to do.
Mm.
And so the loneliness epidemic is real. In the UK, they actually have a ministry of loneliness because the effects of loneliness are resulting in drug abuse, suicide, depression, all kinds of things. So what we have going on in the world, there's a lot of reasons for this. A lot of different sociological, a lot of different technologicals. The bottom line is it's here. And the bottom line is we are made as creatures to be in unity and serve as a body. And the minute we start breaking that apart, bad things start happening. So if you look at the what the latest stats say from AARP and Time Magazine, 40% of adults 45, that's like youngster, 45 and plus report feeling lonely. And I can remember many years ago when I was 45, that's the last thing I felt, but I had a lot of different networks. I was involved in a lot of different things. And it seems like today less and less people are, but we're going to change that. Okay. And Morris has some great ideas for how we can really be very intentional. Now, a lot of you on this call, by virtue of the nature of the industry that we're in, you are natural born connectors. Charles, my father, was a natural born connector. He never met anybody that he didn't hug, thank for their smile, and just share a laugh with or send a book to. It just was the way he was. Not everybody is like that. Okay. So for those that aren't, they're really in a state of loneliness and they're going to have to connect with somebody like you to draw them out. Okay. I meet people that are lonely. I do coaching. And when I talk to them in different organizations, they will report to me feeling lonely. And I will say to them, well, what's your support network? Well, I don't have one. And it's kind of like, okay, but we have the opportunity either through social media, through groups like this, through LinkedIn to stay very connected, but you have to want it and it takes time. And some people are just either not going to feel like they're part of the group, or they may be extremely introverted, or they may not think they're included as part of the group. Okay. So it's important that we really reach out to them. The other stat, and I just read this, 1 in 4 adults are estranged from a family member. Um, I've got this going on in my own life. It's very sad where kids are saying, hey, parents don't need you in my life anymore, doing holidays on our own. Or there are adult children that are estranged from a family member. And that's the reality of what's going on. We can't let that happen to us. We don't have to be blood relatives to be to be family. And that's why it's so important. If somebody wants to be estranged, you can be estranged, but that's not the way I'm going to run my world. And then lastly, 15 cigarettes a day equals the mortality risk of isolation. When we are not in community, loneliness, cortisol, stress, all the bad stressor hormones, not the dopamine and the hugging gene and the endorphins, the bad stressors happen. And it literally starts to break your body down because we are meant to be in community. So it's really important. People say, I don't have time for it. You don't? Well, sooner or later, you're not going to have time for anything. And you're going to be at the end of the line. I love it when they say life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer to the end you get, the faster it goes. And friends, the older you get, you're going to see that toilet paper rolling out. And if your spouse is still living or not here, you have to have a network of people. It's the right thing to do. Not just to pour into you, but so you can be pouring into other people. That's the way the world functions best. So again, the Surgeon General says our epidemic of loneliness and isolation has been an underappreciated public health crisis. And that's why doing things like this with Morris and getting together, I know it takes time. I know it takes resources, but the compound interest of you guys getting together is what it's all about. All right, so this is what we're dealing with. So what happens when we drift apart? So this is Carlisle. I live near Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Was love hearing about all you guys in the warm places you're at. And recently, one of my neighbor's son, Ty Sheets, that's him right there, he came out with a documentary, a self-funded movie called Loneliness or Lonely. And it was about the story of Ruth. And she is an 80-year-old widow who has spent the last 40 years alone. And in this, she has one adult daughter who is estranged for her. And in it, I mean, it was really gut-wrenching. She had to go ahead and oh, yeah, there we go. She had to go ahead and ask for somebody from her doctor to be her emergency point of contact. She had nobody. And there are people like that out there. Ladies and gentlemen, there are probably people that you knew from New York Life that have drifted off and are very alone right now. Okay. And so she called her estranged daughter and said, hey, would you be it? And her daughter was like, no, there was some kind of animosity or fallout from that. And she didn't even want her to be that. So the story kind of unpacks that. We don't want to be like that. And you don't have to be like that, but it takes work. Now, a lot of you have an extended siblings that you're on good terms with. You have kids, you have grands, you have great grands, you have people like this group, but that's not everybody. And so it's wonderful to have this opportunity to really tell people and reach out and say, I miss you. come on, come back into the fold. And again, this doesn't have to be their story. The fact is, people who stay and play together live longer. It's a fact. And it's a cool movie. I don't think it's in big theaters right now, but I think if you Google it and check it out, but it is gut-wrenching. I'm in a neighborhood where everybody's retired and upper 70s to 80s. And some of them were not able to go see it because it's gut-wrenching, but you need to see it because it's what you don't want to be. And it's what you guys are not going to be because you're already involved with this group, right? And you're going to see each other in New Orleans in the fall. Okay. So again, one of my favorite verses is Hebrews 10:25. And basically the Bible says, let's not give up the meeting together. And whether you're a person of faith or whether you're a person not of faith, from an evolutionary concept, a lone wolf is a dead wolf. A lone sheep is a dead sheep. We need to stay together, financially, emotionally, physically, geographically. We need to be in unison and communion with each other. And again, post-COVID drove a lot of people into seclusion, and many have not come out from it. I mean, I think only in the last 2 years, I'm a speaker and a trainer. Finally, people are finally opening up and saying, you know what, we need to get together. Finally, people are going back to church to do sports, to do different things. But isolation isn't just lonely, it's deadly. And camaraderie and esprit de corps are really what make life worth living, especially in retirement, because you get to hang out with who you want to. And a lot of your friends have done well and have all these great resorts and cool places all over the world. And you can call each other, hey, I'm stranded in San Francisco. Oh, I know Nancy. Hey, and you can see each other. Whereas earlier on in your career, you may not have been able to do that. So enjoy it because every year that goes by, we sit at the end of the year and we think about the people that we've lost this year. And every year it's a bigger and bigger number. So don't delay. Don't miss one gathering because you don't know who's going to be there that you may not get to see them again. And you don't know if something might change in the world and we might not have that opportunity again. So again, don't give up meeting together. Okay. So as Morris said, there's a tremendous opportunity in front of you. And it is coming up this fall. Corporate is funded. You got a party paid for you the next 2 years. So who wouldn't want to go to the party that the company you helped build is paying for? That's your right as a retired individual that helped build this wonderful organization. And Morris has it into New Orleans, and the location changes every year. It's good friends, good food, and no compliance paperwork. So it's pure, unadulterated fun. I love seeing the pictures from Arizona. Phoenix is one of my all-time favorite cities. So is New Orleans. So it's nice to see that he's picking a lot of great places. So, take the time and book those tickets now. Fuel's down, ticket prices have dropped tremendously, and go ahead and support this. That'll be a great time for those of you that haven't been to New Orleans. Okay. So again, the compound interest of relationships. This was me 2 weeks ago. I flew to Belize. Okay. And I'll tell you why I flew to Belize shortly. But I hit Charlotte. I couldn't believe it. We landed in Harrisburg and Charlotte, and I lifted up my blind and I saw snow all over the ground. And I'm like, did we get diverted to like Minnesota? I'm in Charlotte. And it was Gianna, that storm 2 weeks ago, like their worst storm that they had. So, anyways, I'm like, that's okay. We're going to take off at 9. I'm going to be in Belize, 9 days in Belize. Woohoo, 9 days in Belize. Perfect timing. We just had Fern. I'm skipping out of town in Gianna. And guess what? We went out, we got de-iced, we came back in, we deplaned. We got back in, we got back out, we de-iced, and then they called it. Okay. So they they called it, we came back in. And guess what I had to do? I had to sleep on an airport floor. How many of you guys have ever slept on an airport floor? Anybody? We have our travel warriors in there. You actually do sleep on the floor because people are like, well, what happens? I said, well, you kind of find a spot and you hope you brought something comfy to sleep in. I did not. This coat is for me. I had to sleep on the floor in Dallas on the way back too. But because it was Belize, my husband's like, shouldn't we bring winter coats? And I go, no, we're going to Belize. I mean, it was like 10 degrees in Pennsylvania. I go, just park in the terminal parking lot in the garage, run in, and then we'll be on a plane and it'll be fine. So get dumped in Charlotte. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we don't even have a blanket. So I went, there was a kiosk open because they shut everybody down. They released everybody, even TSA. So here we were. Admirals Club closes at 10, kicked us out, those rats. And anyway, so we ate, we drank as much as we could. I brought as many people as we could bring in. I brought out tons of fruit to give to everybody that was stranded with me. And there we were. So the next day we get up and we're getting to Belize. Only one flight wasn't canceled. Our flight, we get in the runway, we taxi out, and guess what? There's icicles in the wheel well. I've never heard of such a thing. Well, they can only be a type of the plane, not the bottom of the plane. Oh, so there we go. So next time we didn't have to sleep on the floor, but we had to stay in a hotel. Anyways, on the way back, we missed our connecting flight, and I had to spend another night in Dallas because I had a 5 a.m. flight out, and I was not going to get out of customs at 10, go to a hotel, sleep for an hour and a half, and come back through TSA at 3. So, anyways, so here we are. Here's why we went. There we are in beautiful Belize. Why we went. 9 days, right? This is Dave Plank, one of Mike's friends. Okay. Mike was a Marine. He got out of the Marines, retired from the Marines medically in 5 years, and he got picked up with First Command as an insurance man. Okay. One of his first bases was First Belvoir, where he was stationed. And here was Dave Plank, who was a young captain in the engineering corps. And what Dave Plank did to Mike Wheeler 48 years ago was he introduced my future husband to everybody on base. So Mike explained to him how to build wealth. Okay. Dave did it. Dave now has houses all over the place to include Belize. So he wanted to include us because he did what Mike said for investing, and that's why he's living the life right now. Now, Mike, as a young insurance agent building his business, you know it's all about repeats and referrals and word of mouth. Dave was so well established, everybody that Dave knew, every officer went and signed up with Mike. So they both were instrumental in starting each other's careers. Okay. So I had not met Dave before. And this past August, he came to our house, he and his wife. They live in Belize 3 months out of the year, and the rest of the year they live up in Albany. So he had bought this condo in Belize on San Pedro Island 20 years ago. So I met him and his wife. They sound delightful. And he says, why don't you come to Belize? So I'm like, well, let me figure out where that is and all that stuff. And I thought Belize. So he kept emailing me because we're busy. I have dogs. It's a lot. It's like a kind of semi-deployment for me to lock up the house and get the pet sitter and put all my pills together for every day. It's just a lot. Okay. We got our passports, but he kept reaching out to me. Tracy, you coming out? Tracy, you coming out? And I'm like, yeah, part of my New Year's resolution is to be very intentional about being connected. So I have a pile of all our Christmas cards, and every day Mike and I call one of them and say, hey, thinking about you, or you're coming to visit us, or we're coming to visit you. Okay. So Dave said, hey, this is when you come. So we did it. So out of the 9 days that we had together, we really only had 4 days in country because the first three we were stuck in Charlotte and the last two we were stuck in Dallas. But you know what? On the way home, when I told him, I'm like, you're not going to believe this. We're stuck again. And he says to me, oh my gosh, you're never going to want to come out here again. And I said, Dave, I don't care if we would have had 30 seconds with you. We're coming out again next year. Okay. Because it was about just being very intentional. And it is a hassle. And it was a hassle on the app, rescheduling flights. And oh my gosh, we got to sleep here. Yeah, it's not fun, but it's worth it. Because in the end, we recultivated an incredible relationship. And their kids are grown. Mike's kids are grown. And it's all about just people that have been an integral part of each other's lives. Friendship. It's time to rekindle those friendships. And the really great friends, I don't care if you haven't heard from them in 20, 30, 40 years. When you reach out to them, it's going to be like, I can't believe it. So, anyways, it was 4 days in paradise, 48 years of friendship, and it was worth it. Okay. The journey was hard. The end was hard. But what happened in the middle made it all worth it. And again, the compound interest of relationships, it always pays up. And I'm sure you guys know that. You've thought about, oh man, I can't believe I booked this trip. I can't believe I booked this gig. I can't believe I told this person I'd come to dinner with them. I can't believe I said I'd go to this conference. And then I end up there and I'm like, oh, thank God I went to that. That was such a time of replenishment. So you just got to get over the hump of hesitation and just tell people, no is not an answer. You're coming. You're coming. This is the flight I'm on. I'll meet you here. Let me know. We can room together, whatever, but you're coming. Okay. So again, plus you're not going international, so you don't have to go through all that crazy stuff. So again, just I think about that and I think about my New Year's resolution and all the different things that we're doing. So again, Morris talked about it, the power of the personal invite. I get a lot of different invitations people send to me, but when somebody calls me out and says, Tracy, I am sponsoring an event and I want you at my table, guess what? I'm signing up. Otherwise, I would just get the email and I'm like, I get a million of those. But when somebody calls or visits me, like Dave and Susan, and says, you are coming to our house, here's a personal invite. There's something about a personal invite. And Charles would do that with books. He would give you a book. He would personally give you a book autographed to you and say, this book is hand selected for you. Well, guess what? I get sent 50 million books a year, but the ones that people say, Tracy, this one is for you and autographed, those are the ones that get read. There's something about the power of a personal invite. And you can just say, hey, I'm going to this thing in New Orleans with people I used to work with. You should come. All right. I want you there. Because again, you guys are all already in this group. You're already cool with stepping out of your comfort zone, but that's not everybody, you know? And some of the people that you work with may be more reserved or quiet, or may feel like, oh, I've been gone for 15 years. Nobody remembers me. Uh-uh. That's not about then. This is about now. And you want to reestablish those friendships and those relationships now because you don't know how much they're going to be a part of your life in the future. And I bet they're going to be a lot. So that's the whole script. And the close rate on a personal invitation is always way better than direct mail. Okay. Or more sending out an e-blast to everybody. Okay. And again, so Morris's vision is he said he's got geographic team leaders who recruit and commit to connecting with people in the region. And that's fabulous. That's distributed leadership, sustainable growth. That's why we teach in leadership. You can only have a max of your core group of 3 to 4 people. Anything more than that, then you are diluting your intensity. What you do is you delegate to the next level and they delegate and go on and go on. And again, it just reminds me of course, the Bible and Jesus, who was the master marketer, the master evangelizers. He couldn't reach anybody. He had his 12. Actually, he had his 3, and then he had his 12, and then everybody went from there. So again, you don't have to invite 50 people. Just Morris has people strategically placed. Just reach out, make the call. I hear you guys are active on LinkedIn. And before I forget, I do hope to connect with all of you on LinkedIn. Morris can send the link. You guys find me. I would love to stay connected with you. And, you don't need a marketing campaign. You just need each person inviting one other person. And that is how movements grow. That's how the greatest movements grow. Okay. So again, the real question, as Morris asks, are you going to keep this going? That's the question. Morris can't drag anyone. All right. As my father would say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. But you can put salt in his oats and make him thirsty. So that's kind of what you guys are doing. You're encouraging, you're telling him how much fun it is. You're telling him how much you'd love to have him there. You're telling him, I'm not taking no for an answer when you're booking your flight. And again, home office isn't going to help. Home office has their own stuff to do. And you know what? You don't want it to be mandatory fun. You want it to be about people that love the organization and want to stay connected with each other because it's the best stage of life, you guys. These are these best years. I look at people that are like, oh, I'm worried about getting old. And I'm like, then you're doing it wrong because this is so much fun and it's only getting funner every year. And I can't wait to go more cool places and reconnect with more people. That's what it's about. This is entirely organic and it lives or dies based on your energy. So again, I always tell people, evolve or evacuate, legacy or lethargy, but you get to choose. And I can tell from all of you showing up today, and some of you showed up like 10 minutes early. Morris, we got some hot fish on this hook here, and I can tell you're totally very much involved in this. So again, number one, you commit, because remember, if you're asking people, the first thing they're going to ask is, well, are you going? And when Mike talked to Dave Plank, Dave would be like, well, are you investing in this? And Mike would say, well, yeah, I'm doing it. So commit to being in New Orleans. And then think of one person, just one person who could come to mind. Because remember, then they're going, then repeats and referrals. That's all how this has gone. And then also, if Morris has an area, a geographic area that is not covered, raise your hand to be a connector and help Morris build his team because that's how this grows and grows and grows. Okay. Remember, the actuarial tables don't lie. You're not getting younger. So book that trip. Okay, so my father knew the secret. There he is, Charlie Tremendous Jones. His books made him known. His speeches made him famous. He was a big hugger. He would say guys would line up outside of his office waiting for hugs, and whatever could be misunderstood, one was misunderstood, and the home office called him and said, "Hey, what's this about Jones hugging all the men?" And Charlie said he tried to stop it, but the men wouldn't let him stop it because word on the street was they were getting more love from him than they were from getting it home. So it's just one of those things. We all crave touch, familiarity, family, and community. And right there, that's Jeff Gittimer, the sales guy. Dad would hand out free hugs. And it was really all about making people feel seen, loved, and uh, and respected. And I'll tell you what, he was a phenomenal speaker and a brilliant writer, all that stuff. But I think the thing that people remember most about him was how he made them feel. He made them feel like they were the most tremendous thing in the world. And that's really what your opportunity is to do. He started his career at Moni, and he understood the connection isn't just nice, it's everything. Okay. So again, think about your coupon can be asking these people to come along. And lastly, Charles has a speech called The Three Therapies of Life. I published it in a little booklet. And the three therapies are people, music, and work. And again, your RMC, what he would say is when you withdraw from people, he has this in the three therapies of life. I will, when we stop and go to questions, I will drop a PDF in the chat for you as my gift to you. One of the things Charles says is when you withdraw from people, you dig your own dungeon deeper and signal your death warrant. It's a fact. Okay. Music. Charles loved music. Those of you that heard him speak, he was probably playing John Philip Sousa or big band or jazz. The thing God made that can bypass the ear and go straight to the heart. That's music. Well, that's New Orleans. What better place to get the therapy of music and people and then work? Okay. Charles would say, you don't work because you get paid. You work because it's your life. Staying connected is your work. And I can remember whenever somebody would say they're retired, Charles would smack them on the head and say, don't talk so stupid. You're never retired. You're always in the business of doing something. And whether it's being there for your kids or your grandkids or being intentional about pouring into the lives of the others, you're never retired. There's always somebody else that is waiting for you, that needs your input, that needs your blessing, that needs your friendship, that needs the benefit of your stability. Okay. So again, just guess what you get in New Orleans? You get all three of them. So you can write this off as a therapy trip as well. People, music, and work. All right. So again, what Morris is doing, what all you are doing, because you guys have been members, and 26 of you already went to Arizona and have been at other ones Morris has done. This is more than New York life. That chapter is closed. Okay. This is about choosing to live life connected instead of drifting apart. That is the ultimate highest living, highest need, highest everything for what's going on. Because so many people are walking around without a connection. Maybe they feel lost since they retired. Maybe they don't have a spouse. Maybe they didn't have kids. And so it's up to us to really reach out to them and make sure they know that they're never alone and they still have family. And I hope you guys are excited to see each other in New Orleans this fall. All right. So that is the end of that. I think that's it. And again, I'll put my LinkedIn, but I'm going to hit the stop share. But any thoughts or comments or question? And I'm going to
Everybody's
put the three
probably muted,
decisions in
so
the chat.
if you want to speak, just please unmute yourself and let's talk.
Yes.
Tracy, this is Chuck. I took a lot of notes. I totally believe in the three therapies of life. Eric Campbell and a few of us played music, high school, college, and I played trumpet professionally a couple of years afterwards. And certainly, three therapies are people, being around lots of people. This is about choosing to live connected. I totally believe in that instead of drifting apart. And that's why all of us should be involved in 4 or 5 different things, whether it's hobbies, sports, groups of people, bridge, uh, volunteering, if it's your church or your place of worship, or where you went to college, or something in the town or city you live in. I loved my 44 years of work at New York Life and wish I was still doing it.
That's
I
beautiful,
made a
Chuck.
list of 23 people, Morris, that I'm gonna that are in my that are in my phone. I have their phone numbers and most of them have their emails that I'm going to invite, and I'm going to use the couple of things. Hey, I'm going to this thing in New Orleans with people we used to work with. You should come. I want you there. Those kind of paraphrases are the
Yeah.
things that work and we should say, even if you're Ken Hauer or Steve Ray or Georgine or Ray or Mike Wecker, even though you live in Carmel. Can't stay in Carmel all year, Mike. You got to go to New Orleans. Thank you, Tracy.
You
Yeah.
are so welcome. And here I put the 3 therapies and the slides for you guys to use. And Chuck, you're so right. And it takes time. There are times where I'm just like, but and I got Charles's extrovert gene, but I'm about 49% introvert too. And I could just stay on my beautiful property with my dogs and garden and read books the rest of my life and be perfectly happy. But that's not what life is supposed to be. Remember, you guys have been through these experiences, and there are people that need your presence, and they need you in your life. So thanks for doing that, Chuck.
Yeah.
23, that's amazing.
Yeah. Good comments, Tracy. When Morris put me in charge of sort of heading up this thing for finding new members, I said, I've been retired for 23 years and, I don't know these people. But I started to think about it and I looked at my Facebook list, a lot of people that I'm on Facebook with, and I went through my friends on Facebook and I found there's 21 of them that are former New York Life employees that are not members of the club. So my next step was to PM all of those people one-on-one and say, hey, we have this organization. We'd love to have you join. Go to New Orleans with us and so forth. One's already joined. We've had, some people say, hey, I'll really think about it. I also then found that I could create a group with just those 21 people, and I could send out a Facebook post to them and I sent pictures of the last reunion, did things like this, but it only went to those people that are in Facebook that are not already members. So if you're a Facebook member of mine, a friend of mine, you probably didn't get that, but I sent it out to all those. It was amazing, 21 people that I was able to contact and make that connection, just doing that thing.
That's amazing. And sometimes if you guys retired, I think about in the military, you guys retired. You're like the 4-star generals. So it doesn't matter if you've been gone 5 years or 50 years. You retired from the organization. But there may be other people that didn't, that maybe weren't there as long, that maybe feel like, well, I wasn't as important, or maybe I left kind of and I didn't want to leave. So it's always important to go, you know what, this is now. This is us, and people want to see you and hang out with you. Because I think some people, it's like high school reunions. Well, I don't want to go back because I remember. No, 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 no. This is now. We're adults. We're retired, and we just want to hang out together. And we're not talking office stuff, and we're not reliving past grudges. Just come on out. Just saying that
Right.
because sometimes people, why would I want to hang out with them? Come on, come on. They said the same thing about you, by the way, and they still wanted me to ask. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yes, Ray. You're on mute, Ray.
Am I on? There we go.
Yes.
Okay. This is the first opportunity or the first time I had the opportunity to sit down with a bunch of retired folks. But in my retired period, which is almost 20 years now, I still have contacts and connections that I spend time with socially. We've traveled on cruises, but it's not limited to people that worked in management.
Mhm.
I still have relationships. I had dinner a few months ago in Washington, D.C., actually in the suburbs of Northern Virginia, with an agent that I hired in 1972. And he's still an agent in that office. And that same year, a fellow that I hired named Pete Pratt in 1972, he lives in South Carolina, and he was in management in the field like I was. And like Pete, we worked in a lot of different offices. I worked in 6 general offices, fairly large ones as well. And I have a lot of connections that are both agents and management people. And I don't have that many friends that are home office type individuals because I never worked in the home office. My question is, why are you limiting yourself to people that worked only in a management role?
Well, that's a great question, Ray. When the club started, when Al put it all together, it was actually the Retired Managers Club, and it was specifically for retiring at that point general managers who wanted to
When
stay
you say
together.
managers, you talk about general managers or what used to be called general managers in general offices?
That's where it started exactly.
Okay,
They had great friendships that rekindled every year at the partners meeting, and when they retired, they said,
sure.
"Gee, we're not going to be able to go to the partners meeting anymore. What can we do?" So that's where the whole thing started.
Okay.
And as we've grown, we have opened the doors to any employee of the company who is retired. So any employee is absolutely fair game, and we would love to have them be members of the group. At this point, we do not include agents, but never can tell what's going to happen in the future. But right now, it is for retired employees of the
Right.
company, wherever they may have been, in the zone, in
Yeah.
the home office, in a general office, in IPS or service, I guess now is what we call it. But any of those folks, IT folks, uh, real estate folks from that area, wherever. I mean, look, we even have a retired president of the company in here, so you know we'll even accept that level. So it's and frankly, we also have two retired CEOs who are members. Ted
Right.
and Cy are both members of the club. So that's kind of where it is at this point. But yeah, we're opening it up to any employee who is retired from New York Life. Anybody else got thoughts or questions for Tracy?
Yeah, Tracy was mentioning something about the military, and I mean, if you set up an organization of retired military people, and you say, but this is only for NCOs, or this is only for enlisted, or this is only for officers, you wouldn't really be developing that connection that really was their connection in the offices.
Absolutely. And that's why I was saying it. And Morris, forgive me if I spoke out of turn there because it is, you guys do have your thing. And right, you're right. I think of USAA, the company that would insure only officers and then
Right,
realize,
yeah,
you know what, we need to open this up to enlisted, we need to open this up to spouses and kind of the thing too. That's really what you choose to do. But I mean, now if I did any kind of, it would be more of an alumni thing where anybody that had uh, a presence in it. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the people that I know are the enlisted people that I was with, and would love to get together with that. So as Morris said, I think that's something you guys look at going forward to see who would love to be in the group if that fit. What the purpose of the group is.
Certainly something for the board to think about.
Yeah,
No doubt.
Sarah,
No
you
doubt.
got your
Thank you,
question
Ray.
up too. You're
Yeah, thank you, Ray. Who's
Two
there?
things.
thanks, Ray.
I have two things, Tracy, and the group. One, I think from a field management perspective, um, one of the great joys for me, and I pass along when inviting fellow managers, is the great friendships that I have formed with home office personnel. Ones that I may not have interacted with, from actuaries like Bruce to Georgine and Georgia and excuse me, John and Mike. Now it's first name. It's not about titles. And
Mm.
one of the best things that we can pass on is, to your points, Tracy, we are not retired. We're just between projects.
Yeah.
I like to think of that, and maybe it's now nonprofit and family, but I thank you for everything you said today.
Oh, you're so welcome. And that last get, what I was told was 20 to 40 is your learning, 40 to 60 is your earning, 60 to 80 is your yearning when you're kind of ready to launch into the next thing, and 80 to, let's say, 120 is returning. That's when this is such a blessed season. And to work and be intentional, and I love that you said that it's not about titles anymore, it's about relationships. And this is the funnest stage of life because you do get to work at returning all the lessons. You're wiser. You're in a greater position than a lot of people to do different things, and how you can kind of pour back into them, Sarah, like you said. That's our job.
Right.
Not to just say, "Hey, I went through life. I invested a bunch of wealth, and I'll see you when the will is read." I mean, you can do that. That's your choice. But you know, look, think about the people that poured into us throughout our lives. And you talk about meeting people that you interacted with that you never got to meet, and they can come to this and say, "Oh my gosh, you were such a I knew I knew you when," and how wonderful that is. So yeah, thanks, Sarah.
Anybody else want to jump in here? All right, Tracy. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for being my friend, and thank you for all your comments and your encouragement. And that's really what it boils down to is tremendous, tremendous encouragement. And we thank you so very much for being here. For
Thank
everybody
you,
else,
Lord.
y'all, thank you. You know, Tracy said it. It only gets funner, and we're going to be funner in New Orleans. I promise you that. So have a great week. Enjoy yourselves. And let me leave you with this. If it is to be, it's up to you and me.